have to say that when Anna suggested that I was giving this talk today, I was actually a bit surprised because, as you can see, I'm a cloud architect. I'm a really tech guy that I actually love to play with technology. When I told my 11-year-old daughter that I was giving a talk today, it was, you? So that's to say that in my family, I'm not really considered the creative guy of the family, but that's what it is. So let's say that I love to take technology, also cloud technology, that's what I'm familiar with, and play with it in kind of, let's say, an unconventional way to try to bring issues to the surface, or at least to see the challenges in a different way. Now, so today we're going to talk about, well, a bit of machine learning, almost some deep learning related to image recognition. And yeah, we're going to pretend to cook some spaghetti because, well, as you probably already guessed, I'm Italian. So yes, that's me. I'm cloud architect working mainly with AWS technology. I love to write a lot. I'm an editor for InfoCube, usually try to cover a bit more conventional topic on technology. And yeah, unconventional topic, I tend to blog about them. Anyway, well, not surprising, artificial intelligence, machine learning is everywhere. I mean, in the last few months, the good thing for me of talking so much about generative AI has been that it's an interesting new field, but somehow brought people that were really not interested in machine learning or artificial intelligence in general to realize that, well, it exists. And there are technology that actually we have been using for many, many years, at least I would say 5 to 10 years. And sometimes we haven't even realized yet. There are some branches, like, I don't know, face recognition. We have discussed it a lot in terms of security, implication, positive, negative, authorities, whatever. But yeah, apart from that, I haven't seen much talking about how artificial intelligence, how machine learning services are already impacting many of the products we have been using. So think about pictures or videos. We've been taking pictures with our smartphone for well over 10 years. Yes, we tend to organize pictures, create collection, create labels, and whatever. Probably 10 years ago, the only way to do it was manually, sort of, or just according to the date the picture were taken, but according to things like EXIF data, so metadata associated to the picture, but there was no machine learning there. It was just, yeah, well, this picture has been taken with this specific camera, or this picture has been taken with in that particular day. So you could grab them, put them together, search them by date, search them by camera. Then we went through location, so we added GPS, whatever, on the phone. So, well, yes, you could put picture together and say, this picture, this is a smart album that I created for you that is last weekend in France. Well, that's really not machine learning. That's just putting together pictures that were taken in a specific location, usually. But actually now, in the last few years, most of the, let's call them labeling albums, whatever you call, according to if you're using Apple or if you're using Google Photo, if you're using Microsoft, whatever provider you're using to play with pictures, there's a lot of machine learning going behind the scenes. Some is obvious, like face recognition, you might enable, disable it, but it's pretty obvious. Other is less, well, you use it, like object detection. Object detection means that if I go to the browser and search for pictures where there's a car, some picture with a car might surface, some might not, some might be incorrect, but that is not done on the metadata of your pictures, it's not done on the location of it, it's actually done using some machine learning behind the scene. How is that done? Usually there are some big player behind. You might play with Google, with their Vision AI. You can play with specific company, like, I don't know, Imaga is providing an image recognition service that does those kind of things. Amazon is one of the big providers in the space. What do they offer? They offer a way to integrate this technology in your application and make the technology basically transparent to the end user. What kind of service can you do with that? Well, you can do some, I wouldn't call it magic, but we say you can label the object. So you can say, for example, well, I want to find all the picture where there's a bike. You can as well do in a bit more, we'll consider a bit more risky way, content moderation. What is content moderation is, well, let's say, for example, that I show you a picture of the day every day on your browser or on your application, whatever. Probably I want to make sure that certain pictures don't surface from your library, so I might do content moderation with using algorithm that I use in machine learning based. You can do, of course, text detection. It's quite funny that the example that they put on those websites are like text detection done with a marathon or anyway a running event, because actually I'm a runner myself. I don't know how many of you have run or joined events, but if you think about it, there are, in the last few years things have slightly improved, but not that much. You're playing with public pictures with a number on yourself, usually a database online when it tells you your gender, age group, because that's how they classify people. So you can actually almost train your own model on public pictures, because basically you have a large data set of runners with all a number. So you can detect, like, is my face detection algorithm working well? Well, I can use just the number on every person to validate my set. And I'm just using a public set of 30,000 runners with 500,000 pictures provided by a race organizer. Anyway, so let's go back to what we want to do. So let's use a less controversial topic to test the technology. So let's cook some pasta. How do we cook some pasta? Well, we can upload to one of those services. We don't even use to use crazy API integration. You just go to the website, you upload some pictures, and you look at what the results are. And then use the JSON data that you have as a response for those data to validate what you have. You can already see that when you upload a picture, well, basic ingredients of my set is some spaghetti and some garlic. You already see what can go wrong during your own recognition. So that's just a starting point. We'll come back to those data in a second to see what can go wrong. But why did I do that? Well, I went to a conference last year, and it was just before Thanksgiving. It was autumn. So I was in the US, so my goal was to play with Amazon recognition, and I actually cooked a turkey for Thanksgiving. And what I realized that when you start to play with meat, well, I'm vegetarian, but it can go quite nasty. And the moment you tell an American that you're cooking a cat, is probably not going down the right way, almost all for breakfast as well. So let's cook some pasta. I'm Italian, so the reaction was, well, you're Italian, do something Italian. So I went safe. I just didn't want to affect the data, taking my own picture and do it, get the data I wanted. So I say, okay, let's take just a normal website, find a recipe in English, take where they show some pictures of how you cook it, and just pass those images to the service and see what happens. So let's start. Very first picture you have is, well, quite obvious. It's the recipe, for who doesn't know the recipe of pasta, aglio olio is basically just boil some pasta, throw some garlic and oil, and that's pretty much it. But that's quite the simplest thing you can do. So you boil some pasta, and that's what you get from the service. Tells you it's a cooking pan, that probably is not, but pretty much nothing really crazy here. And you can really see that those services are not that bad. I mean, now I'm joking, but they can detect that there's some boiling water. They can detect, or at least boiling, not water, but you can get some ideas. They have a feeling what's going on. I mean, it's not that crazy. So you use a cooking pan. That's probably the only mistake, but up to here we are quite on safe field. Now, we have to start to play with the garlic. So here I have a toothbrush. Well, that's probably starts to get quite bad. So I'm supposed to clean the garlic using the toothbrush. That's already moving a bit away from my standard recipe, but it can get worse. So now I have to cut the garlic. That's the third ingredient. There are not that many ingredients. We say oil, garlic, and that's pretty much it. Well, for who doesn't know, dagger is probably something you don't use in the kitchen. You are in the right area of, you need something to cut, but it's a bit stronger than just a kitchen knife. But still is there. I might joke, but they're getting close. That's the problem. In some sense, I almost feel safer when I get the toothbrush, because it's quite obvious that we got it entirely wrong, at least. Now, what do I have to do? Eat my few spoons of oil, and I'm almost done, but probably I wouldn't do it in a plate. So yeah, well, extra virgin oil on your plate directly, that's the recipe. And yeah, well, that's a cup, of course. I mean, you just need to take it out, and you're almost there. We're almost at the final step. So, of course, to cook the pasta al dente, that's they recommend it. Of course, they write, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, so I assume I'm supposed to cook the pasta in a cup. And that's the final picture that they show you. Well, well, I can get why they got the peels. I'm a bit less skeptical about the chopsticks because, well, I wouldn't, almost the number of single spaghetti is quite high to be detected by that. But I like to highlight almost all the two numbers next to it. That is something I would like to discuss in a second. So last step is, of course, well, eat your pasta with some chopsticks. How else would you do it? So that's our final spaghetti. I might daydream to eat my spaghetti and do my proper recipe in a different way, but I can as well do a video. I'm not going to present the video now because playing the video is too hard, but if you just record, that's instead I did it. Just take the 4 ingredients, put them on the table, just do a 10 seconds video, upload the video and see what they detect. You can see that basically what they do here, they highlight some, let's see if it works. Yeah, here they highlight 74 results up there. And they tell you, well, all the things you get. And then if you click on the result, they tell you at which particular spot you get. So you can guess what they get wrong and where. And you can see even just was a 10 seconds video with nothing in the background, just a black background, just 4 simple ingredients on the table. Things get quite messy. And much more messy than professional pictures that results might be a bit better than my messy table. So, after lunch straight. Well, the general message is be careful, but let's see why we need to be careful. There are usually when I work with machine learning, integration of machine learning services in application, I usually deal with 2 kinds of people, 2 kinds of projects. One is, I hate that stuff. I don't want to see it for whatever legal, personal data, whatever. I don't want to have anything. And usually you have 2 kinds of people in that field, the one that really managed to get an application working without, and the one that they believe they're not using it, but they're still using it. But that's part of the problem. The other one is the toothbrush scenario is welcome AI, use anything, even be proud to use it because it's, of course, it's a bit of marketing, and don't put any protection in place. The problem we have with these approaches is most of the time, you don't build your technology, you're just integrating something else, models from other people, train your own model, but often you tend to rely on data set and technology that are coming from someone else, but still you're putting your face out there. I mean, it's my own application. I might blame Amazon because I'm playing with Amazon now, I might blame Google, but at the end of the day, for the end users, it's me in front of the application. So what can I do? Because I can't just say, oh, it's their problem, it's Amazon's problem. I can't just make jokes and say, well, they're not able to get spaghetti right, they just put chopsticks. Reality is there are a lot you can do on those technologies. You can put your own boundaries, or you can use boundaries that they offer you to put, as well as a confidence level that you need to have. So of course you can, in most of those technology, why kind of have a list of exclusion and a list of inclusion. So you can say, I don't want to have this label in any scenario because if I'm cooking pasta, I most likely don't want to have chopsticks. So that's, and I'm still playing in safe scenario. There are scenarios where it is much more important to have safety net in place. Or I can have inclusion one that is like, well, I'm going to select those pictures for my catalog, and I want just to detect those labels. That's another common approach. Of course, providers tend to protect themselves. So for example, Amazon tells you, well, you need to use a threshold of 99% of above in any scenario, for any use case where the accuracy of classification could have any negative impact on the subject of the images. is basically a nice way to say anytime you might have trouble with your user, play safe. Is that so enough to put that 99%? Well, actually it is in most cases. I mean, when we were joking before about dagger, you can see that, yeah, well, it tells you it's a weapon as a very first thing, but you're very far from 99%. You're even very far from 95%. So as long as you have some safety net in place in those technologies, you can filter out most of the dangerous scenario. Of course, you are as well filtering out most of the interest in the coding. I mean, I can put a confidence level of 100% that is never there and decode nothing and just pay for the service. Does it apply just to pictures? No, there are areas actually where it's much more challenging, because those, you always have to think what the service have been trained for in machine learning, or train it yourself. That's usually the safest approach. Because, like, for example, if I use that service and I throw all the pictures of the world of any flag and see what I get back, I get back that any flag, Cuban flag, whatever flag you want to throw, is very likely an American flag, because the system has been just trained with an American flag. If I use the Portuguese flag, well, I might have some bomb weapons, dynamite, that probably, I'm not saying I put me in a, it's almost a joke that it's not that dangerous, but it gives you the idea what direction you can go if you don't filter out the output of those services. And yeah, if you talk to the development team to open a support case and say, well, as the flags are almost random, well, what you get back is, yes, flags have not been trained. So first thing you need to do is consider use case when you use those machine learning services and see, it's not only the API works or can I use it, is how has been that service trained? Has been trained on data that makes sense for me, or is been trained on sport events and I'm actually doing pasta? That is probably not what I need. So, well, you might say the message is, well, don't blame the technology provider, just put a 90% level confidence and be safe. 99% is good, we said. That's what they said. Well, let's start. Has anyone any idea what that is?
Frozen turkey.
Frozen turkey? Any other guess?
Cat.
Close? That's a soccer ball. 99.7%. So, well, that gives you the idea that, yeah, you cannot just, even 99% is good, but that's not the end of your problem. It's not just put a number there and say, as a developer, that's it, I'm done. So basically, take responsibility of what you build and keep an eye on the data you get. There are amazing services that give you many features that are amazing for the end users, but yeah, they have some side effect. With that one, it's basically just a point of who is responsible at the end is you. You might blame the company behind. I might write 10,000 posts about how bad they are and that they detect a cat instead of a turkey, but at the end, it's me who is building and offering the service to the end user, and that's my responsibility to get it right. Thank you.